centrally from a government point of view, and we're going to do that if the basis, the principal basis upon which we can collaborate are fully established. We're not going to go into it from a point of desperation. That is where we come from. I'm sure I've answered all the questions. Oh, the negotiation team is composed of the officials of the economic freedom fighters outside of the president. So we give reports to the president and commander-in-chief. So ourselves as the officials, we are the ones who have been meeting, myself as deputy president and the secretary general, the national chairperson, the treasurer general, and then some members from the War Council of the EFF. As and when they are available, we then invite them, and then we meet and then state our policy positions, and that is who we are. And then, and of course, from time to time, we appraise the leadership collective. That is where we are. Further questions? Are we done?
Okay, guys, let's go. Can we do EWN? One more round, DP?
Yeah, that's fine. The last one.
EWN, Bloomberg, this room. Oh, wow. And then number 4, okay. EWN.
Really just 2 questions from my side. The first one, what changed? Because there was an interview that I watched with the leader, Julius Malema, journalist from the BBC a few months ago, and he confidently stated that the EFF supports a government of national unity, and all of a sudden, you have a very different stance on this form of a coalition arrangement. What changed between then and yesterday when it was announced by the ANC? Number 2, you say that you don't want to form or join any form of coalition government as long as the DA is there. But the EFF shared a bid. The EFF was in a marriage with the DA in Joburg a year or 2 ago before you eventually went back to the ANC. Again, what changed? What's the difference between local government and national government? Thank you.
In your talks about talks with the ANC, did they put the government of national unity option to you? Was there another one outside of that? So is there another model also that you're willing to maybe counter with in the next round of talks? And then I'm assuming that this relates just to your position on this relates to national government. So is there still scope for an agreement with the ANC that excludes the DA, of course, in Gauteng and maybe KwaZulu-Natal, other spheres of government outside of
Junior Kumaro from Newsroom Africa. DP, before the elections, your stance seemed to be, we want to take the ANC out of power at all costs.
Yes.
Now, has that since changed, or is it because of the election results that now you're willing to engage the ANC?
So, there's another question. Oh, you still want? Yes, covered. You see, I don't know why the convenience of choosing what we said before is being elevated over what we got to say afterward. I'll give you the practical examples. I did an interview with Caesar Mpofu Walsh and said that our ultimate aim would be to remove the ANC completely out of power and unplug it completely. And within that period, you had even a rising opposition and onslaught against the EFF by the opposition parties whom we had said were going to collaborate with to remove the ANC from power. And we then got to characterize correctly that they are doing so because they're acting on behalf of the Oppenheimers who are giving them money to become the primary enemy forces against the EFF, not even against the ANC. And when we did the debate in Fort Hare University organized by the university and Fort Hare, we did say there on coalitions that whatever must be a coalition government in South Africa must exclude all Oppenheimer puppets. That is what we said publicly. That is our position, that we do not want to have a government that is composited of Oppenheimer puppets and stooges, because their agenda has been revealed as to what do they seek to achieve. They want to protect the status quo of colonialism, of apartheid, of economic exclusion of our people. That is what they seek to achieve. So our position has been like that. And the president, you are making reference to a BBC old interview where he spoke about a government of national unity. But in the rock, he did say that if this government of national unity is what Mandela did, we are not part of that nonsense. That is what our position is all about. So refer to us as to like how we have been dealing with all of these issues, that if a government of national unity means that we must have Steenhuisen and Helen Zille who represent a counter-revolutionary agenda as government, we are not going to form part of that nonsense, because we've got now proper historical trace and account of just how disastrous was such an arrangement, where black leaders who are supposed to autonomously take leadership must tiptoe around white people in cabinet. Remember, when you are cabinet and government, to introduce legislation in parliament, it must be signed off by the minister. So if you have got a minister of land who is a beneficiary of the colonial apartheid land thievery, how are they going to introduce legislation that seeks to distribute land equitably? If you have got mineral resources minister who is part of the establishment, how are you going to transform the minerals sector, which is supposed to be benefiting majority of South Africans, but it's benefiting a handful of few individuals, domestic and globally? So it's an issue which we are not going to make the same mistakes that were made by the 1994 group of Nelson Mandela and them, who thought that even when they had the majority that they had to include white people into government. We are not part of that nonsense. In any way, white people vote for one political party, 91% vote for the DA, and then sometimes when they're angry with the DA because there's got a black leader, they vote for the Freedom Front Plus, and then they go back to the DA. They've got their own establishment to protect their own interests. We're not part of that. We are happy that majority of potentially progressive black parties can constitute more than 2/3 of parliament, so that when we talk about the land question, we can still be able to amend Section 25 of South Africa's Constitution to permit for expropriation of land without compensation, but also for state custodianship of all of South Africa's land. In the same way, the state is a custodian of all mineral resources and water resources. Look, you know, in 2016, we tactically and correctly voted against ANC governments, not only in Johannesburg. We took the most superior tactic, which we did, was to vote for opposition parties in all the municipalities where the ANC did not have outright majority. As a result, there were a lot of IFP mayors and governments in KwaZulu-Natal which were constituted because of the vote of the EFF. Here in Johannesburg and Nelson Mandela, it became the Democratic Alliance and Tshwane as well. But in Metsimaholo, it was Metsimaholo Residents Association. In Tabazimbi, it was Tabazimbi Residents Association. We took a correct decision that let's unplug the ANC out of power, because we know that their staying in power is through the resources of the local state. And once you unplug them from that power, they lose their relevance. And that is what we got to achieve. The ANC is where it is now because of the work of the economic freedom fighters. The ANC was already hovering, even by the way, before the announcement of MK, was in scientific proper polls, was already estimated to could be in the 30s, maximum 40%. MK just came to finish an already dead horse, which was already struggling in terms of the electoral support of South Africa. But the EFF has achieved the most in displacing the ANC from the unparalleled and uncontested electoral support that it has had since 1994. And this is a good thing. It's a progressive agenda which must be consolidated by